All right. Okay, everybody, we're gonna get started. 7:30. I want to apologize. We all have bad days, and not like it was a bad day, like I was a grumpy pants, but I just don't think I had a very good day of explaining on Monday. Maybe I was going too far. Not to say some of you it didn't maybe get what I was trying to say, but I didn't do a good job of rationalizing and using analogies. And so, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a step back and talk about a different method, because sometimes methods that work in my head may not work in other people's head, and that's okay. But the process still should be there, and the process should always be done. It's just there's different ways to do the process. Um, so what we're going to have this morning, we're going to have an example on the board. I'm going to swing the screen around to show it to you because it's such a pain to through the screen, and they covered my job. I don't know why they hide things from me. Like I feel like it's Elf on the Shelf. Like every day I come in, my stuff is hidden away. So I'm going to swing the computer to show the example of the curl, and then Port Barry. I only know you as Port Barry. What's your first name? Lindsay. So Lindsay is we in Delcom we have nicknames for everybody. Like there's people that I'm like, wait, Pecan's name is what? It's Johnny. I didn't know Pecan was named John. So Lindsay's going to come up, and she has just a different way of approaching the process that I think may work with some. It may resonate with some. Remember, it's about getting the right answers. I don't care how you do it, but it's about walking down the path to do right answers. I kind of like this analogy. If someone gave you a bunch of numbers to add or subtract, unless you're like a savant, you can't do all that in your head. You have to write them down and do the math or use a calculator. Like there's a process. And so it's the same because we have so many different variables, external forces, internal muscles, movements, contractions. It's all these different variables. So if we have a process in place, we're probably gonna mess up in our addition, our subtraction, our math. So it's about the process, okay? All right, so Lindsay, while you come up, I'm gonna roll the screen to show everybody um, what I would do is I would take a picture on your device or screenshot on the computer. Um, so this is a dumbbell curl. The picture on the left, she's in flexed position, and the picture on the right, she's less flexed, or she's closer to anatomical here, right? So we're starting, so from left to right, we have this motion, and from right to left, we have this motion. On the board, we set it up for Lindsay with phase one and phase two, but phase one is just simply left to right. So that's phase one, because remember, I'm all start finish, right? I try my best to go left to right, left to right, left to right. So phase one is from left to right, and then phase two is going to be back to the original place, right? From right to left. All right, again, Sarah, chime in anytime you need.
Okay, so if we look in the picture, we can see what is the external force trying to do in from left to right, and we know that it's gravity's pulling her arm down, so it's trying to extend her elbow. So I'll just put extend elbow, and it's we know that gravity's trying to extend her elbow. We are going to need flexors as our agonists, elbow flexors. So now we just identified motion, which we all know now that it's just extension. It's not flexion in the field. So I'll write extension. And then to find the contraction, I'll look at these two. So if you're using flexors and you're allowing extension, then it must be eccentric contraction. So like if it's the same, if it was flexors and you're having flexion, then it would be concentric contraction. So if they're opposite, eccentric. If they're the same, or extensors, extension, flexors, flexors, then they'll be concentric. And then so if they're opposite, then it's eccentric. And that's my method. Okay, so from right to left. So from right to left, we can see that the external force is still trying to pull her arm down. So it's trying to extend the elbow. And from right to left, we are still using our flexors. Yep. But the motion is different because we're going from an extended position to a flex position. So we're having flexion. Actually, this is flexors. You get it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's no mind, just in case.
I just
Slide watching, mom watches.
Okay. So since we have flexors and it's flexing, we are going to put a concentric contraction. Yeah? Yeah?
So a couple of points, and this isn't directed, this is awesome. I like how you varied potato and potato. So I like how you put extend elbow instead of the external force is trying to cause elbow extension. I kind of like that because it does get a little verbagey and wordy when we're like external force is trying to cause elbow extension. We need muscles that are trying to cause elbow flexion. Like having them similar words can sometimes, it's like taking a sip of bubblegum slushy or ice. That first sip is awesome, but after a bunch of sips, it kind of loses its taste, right? So I like mixing that up because it really stands out. Hey, this is the motion that the external force is trying to do. And this is the motion that my muscles are trying to do. So I really like that. Total nitpicky thing. This is a graduate school nitpicky thing. So we, just for consistency, we want to make sure, just like you put elbow here, we want to remind ourselves, right? So
Right.
we need elbow, flexors, and even if you wanted to go more nitpicky detail,
Flexion.
left.
Oh,
Right?
yeah.
Because remember, we can do, we analyze things joint by joint. So this is a hole in one, but just in case, we're doing different things, you want to have like, for the right elbow or for the left elbow.
Well, yeah. So normally when I write my little formula thing down, I'll put.
Wow, outstanding, outstanding. So to Lindsay's point, if you communicate it up here, so this would be left elbow, then you don't have to be redundant right there. Excellent point. So in other words, if that's like on the test, if I say what's happening at the right elbow, I don't have to put right elbow on all the answers because I already asked you which joint. So great point. So left elbow, we don't have to put left, and we don't have to put elbow. Okay, awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Sarah, any feedback? Was that closer to how you approached it, or did you go? Did you go down?
So same thing.
Gotcha. But some people might see up and down better as opposed to going across. So yeah. Phase two is just the different motions. Yeah. So phase two is just right to left. The reason I didn't want to say phase one is extension because then I'd be giving you information, right? So so I could. Yeah. Good point. Good point. Is that better? So question one from left to right, flexors, extension, eccentrics. Right to left, still flexors, flexion, concentric. Okay. Now let me try to tie in what I was trying to babble about on Monday. Plyo multiple metrics, lengths is not a separate contraction. You only have three outcomes. When you're competing, you can win, lose, or tie. So same for muscles. What about rupture? Gosh, right? Normal functioning muscle, you got three outcomes. plyo with a specific sequence is slowing down through eccentrics, followed by speeding up with concentrics. I think Monday I got too wordy. Let's just keep it simple. You're going to change direction twice during this exercise. You're going to change direction at the top, you're going to change direction at the bottom. Any exercise, you're going to change direction twice if you're going to keep doing it, right? One of those change in directions could be done by gravity, by the weight. In other words, if I turned off all the muscles while I was doing the motion, what could gravity do? Gravity could change my direction to come back down, right? Gravity can change my direction at the top. I don't need my muscles to change my direction at the top. Where we see the plyometric sequence, the eccentric braking followed by the concentric speeding up, is where in the range of motion of the exercise do your muscles have to change a direction? Gravity can't make me come back up. My muscles have to do that. So that's really what it boils down to. I was getting too wordy with speeding up, constant, slowing down, going down, the word salad. For any repetition of an exercise, you can have two change in directions. One of them is going to be because of the machine or the weight, and the other is going to be because of you. And I need you to be able to tell me where the change of direction happens because of the muscles. Because the muscles have to be greater than the weight. But it's the muscles that are going to make that dumbbell slow down in extension, followed by speeding up with the flexion. So another way to look at it is, you know from maybe a freshman level class that plyometrics is eccentric followed by concentric. So at the top, that makes no sense because we know that at the top we're going to have concentric followed by eccentric. Process of elimination. If I can see that it can't be this because plyometrics is a concentric followed by eccentric, then I know it has to be down here, eccentric followed by concentric. Make sense? Better? So let's go to, and I'm going to roll the camera around to show another example that we did last class, but I think it'll apply better. Right? That's not the one I was looking for. Okay. Yoink. So, from left to right, identify, and this goes to a question that a student came and asked at their office. What kind of questions do you ask on the test? All the ones we've been doing on the test, right? So in other words, just if I'm at, hey, identify the agates. Tell me the contraction, I can ask that. And so with this one, I might just cut to the chase and say, what contraction do I have from left to right? I still want you to do the process. Because the process is going to help us figure out what our math problem is. So the machine is trying to extend you, right? Patty push. So the machine is trying to push you into extension. Let's see how Lindsay put it. It's trying to extend your knee. I like that. I like flipping it.
Okay, if you let's say you put this on this. Is it bad to say I couldn't tell you which contraction it was on the top and then you found the remember?
Is it bad?
Yeah.
It's awesome. I don't want you to. I don't do it.
Well, yeah, because I wouldn't be able to tell you.
But that's why you have to scratch paper. That's why you have to scratch paper. I don't expect anybody. In fact, not again, there are
It just doesn't seem efficient not being able to.
It keeps you. The better, I think I have a good way. It's not efficient right now because you're just starting. I wasn't efficient at basketball when I first started, but as I played, I got better and better and better and better, and then I could play. If I just started the violin, I wouldn't be efficient in it. But if you play, right? It's the same thing, but just it's a knowledge skill. So right now, you're going to have training wheels, and that's okay. But as you grow, as you practice, as you apply, next thing you know, you're riding on your own. then you're writing faster and then you're processing it faster. I've been doing this for 20 years. I can look at it and be like, you're using your flexors from left to right, eccentric from right to left, concentric. But that's only because I've been playing for a long time. It's natural. It's okay. But that's why we practice.
From figuring out which way your machine is trying to. Like,
We just talked about this. A lot of is like if you didn't know what this machine is, look at like the pad on the feet and look at the pad on the bottom. The pad on the top is just kind of there for like stability maybe, but the what she's pressing under or what's pressing underneath her is that force. So she's having to press against that pad underneath her ankle to cause that pain.
Honestly, listen, first, time out. Good. Good. You're good. Y'all all good. I think the artists, so a lot of times artists don't really have a working understanding of what's happening. It's like imagine like ancient Greeks drawing muscles in and all that stuff inside. I think the artist just made a mistake. I think the artist should have kept the top pad fixed. And the artist just, this is art. So what I'll do is, so that we're not confused by the art, we'll try to find an how do my kids say it? IRL? Is that right? There, they give me a hard time about nothing. So let's find a real life. Yeah, I think they just accepted, the artist didn't really comprehend it, so, but again, I'm glad y'all brought it up, because I
There's
didn't.
not that. See like what's really important for the sex.
I'm trying to find a foreigner. There's our artist buddy. Watch, you know what I can do? Let me reposition. Going on field trip. I hope nobody watching this gets motion sickness. Wow, it does roll.
Yeah.
So think of it like this.
I see them.
Oh, you know what I bet that's for? I'll bet that's in case you wanted to choose to do standing, like you could stand and lock your leg. I bet it's for adjustability, but because if you think that padding on the top is too close to the knee to try to push it down, right? And when you're pushing on the lower shin, you're actually taking pressure away from the pad. But I bet you it's for people that want to do a single, they could go into it and secure their leg to do that. So maybe the artist wasn't that. Does that make sense?
I just want to make sure there would be like clarity for the test. If there was one like, I mean, I guess now you know, but if there was
There's not
Yeah. Well, tell me if this answers your question. This would be my clarity. Hey, guys, this pad is trying to do something, this pad is pushing on the shin.
yes.
You also don't have as many like drawing pictures, so there's not like the
Yeah,
illustrator.
I was just trying to find something. But also like you can tell if there was pressure, like that pad wouldn't be able to roll as much. So like in other words, like it's I bet you that's what it's for, is for the versatility of the standing or the All right, let me try to find a better one. See if we could get some of this out of it.
Oh, I forgot to. Yeah, this was.
Is that better? Okay. So watch, we'll go start. And feel free to use your phones, or I guess it's on the video, so you could screenshot it, see. But we'll go start to, oh, bro, you gotta do like that.
Need to find some stuff like this if they say that.
All right, here we go.
Oh. Extensions.
Start. Finish. So Lindsay, how did you phrase it? Question one? So that's question one. Start to finish. And then question two, be start to finish. Right. So from roughly anatomical to mostly flexed, and then from mostly flexed to mostly anatomical. Is that fair to say? So mostly anatomical to mostly flexed. And then question number two is mostly flexed to mostly anatomical. Kind of questions I can ask you on the best. What motion is the external force trying to cause? What would be our agonistic group? Remember, agonist is who's working, antagonist is who's not working. You wouldn't need your quads. You wouldn't need your extensions. You'd pull your shin away from the pad. You think of an antagonist in a movie as the opposite. An agonist is like the hero. That's who you need to call to do his job. Right? So I could ask you about agonist. And then with agonist and motion, then we can figure out contraction. Okay, y'all go ahead and do that. Lindsay, I'll have you come up and do it one more time. That's all right. I really like flipping I mean, it's just flipping the words, but I like how it's a little different so it stands out. I like that.
I didn't notice it stayed like that. I didn't.
It's good.
Well, that's kind of.
So another analogy for the speed and process when I was in athletic training, we learned hops, history, observation, foundation, stuff. When I was undergraduate, I had, okay, what's next? What I mean? And then as you get better, like you don't even think about it, you just kind of know the process to do. So it's a non-sports analogy. So as you do these over, you get more efficient. But there's so many illusions that I always like to double check. That's why I like to double check. Even if y'all remember when we were doing motion, like even when I was getting the artworks, I had to like, okay, here, but that's normal. That's okay. Everybody have something? Anybody need more time? It's okay to need more time. We're good? All right, Lindsay. You're up. Feel free to, if I didn't know.
Looks good. Okay. So, first thing, we identify what motion is occurring. It's occurring at the knees, both knees. So, the external force, the machine is trying to extend your knees. And then, so if it's trying to extend our knees, we need knee flexors. Okay, and then we identify the motion, what's happening from left to right or from start to finish. And in question 1, it will be flexion, knee flexion. And then if the flexors and flexion match, if they match, it's going to be concentric. But okay, let me not go too ahead of myself. Anyway, so the next one from right to left, we'll do, it starts where the knee is flexed and ends.
Thank you.
I'm trying to remember.
No, I got the weeds. I have a better biomechanical for that other exercise. I think I figured it out. So that's what I was thinking about. So.
Okay, so we start there and we end in the next. Okay. So the force is still trying to extend your knees. So that means the agonist is still going to be knee flexors. Okay, but the motion is changing. The motion, because the direction changed, the motion is going to be extension, knee extension. And since the flexors and extension don't match, it's going to be eccentric. And then that's my name.
Questions? Sarah, what was yours was typical left to right. Was there any difference or tweak? Because remember, we're just trying to find different. It's the same process, but there's different ways to do different things, right? So I'm trying to introduce some of you to different processes, so that maybe like, oh, I get that better. That one works better for me. Yeah, that's awesome. Good. All right. I think I know deal with the other exercise. If you humor me for a second. So check this out. It's E. So you see how you have the 2 pads, right? The other one was there. So you know how in a squat, left, hold down. You know how you need a little padding on your knees to prevent you from coming up? So in other words, the machine is trying to lift you off of the seat. So in the exercise we just did, so in other words, as something is pulling you up, you need something to keep you down. Okay? Now, in the leg extension machine, you are pushing up, so therefore the machine is pushing you down. So like as you push up, the reaction of that is you getting further and further into your seat.
So basically the paddle just move all the way so
Yeah, I think what the padding is doing, so first of all, does everybody understand, you're pushing up, so therefore the machine is pushing you more into the seat. You don't need anything. For the curls, if you were to just curl, you could literally fly off of the seat. I mean, I'm not saying we would, but as you curl down, the reaction of that is going to lift you off. So I think that second padding is literally meant as a stabilizer to make sure you stay in the same position, because the machine is actually trying to catapult you forward as you curl down. And that's why we didn't need it for the prone, because now I'm pulling it up, so it's actually going to push me down.
Because of that part, obviously, you're still not being.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think the padding is literally meant as a stabilizer, more closer to the knee joint to prevent you from kind of catapults. All right, glad we were able to figure that out. Okay, going back to, let's talk about plyometric sequence. Plyometric sequence is the eccentric followed by the concentric of our muscle actions. So on the test, I might ask, hey, is my plyometric sequence, I might use layman terms, when the feet are at their highest point or the feet when their lowest point? When would you need your muscles to change your direction? Or a shortcut is, when would we have eccentric immediately followed by concentric? Would it be at the top or would it be when the feet are at the bottom? Give that some thought. It's either here or here. So if I was going to do it on the test, I'd say like A or B. A or B, what you got? Top or bottom? When the feet are at the highest or when the feet are at the lowest? Lowest, yeah, B. That's when your muscles have to change your direction. The machine could change your direction to the top. You could turn off everything and the machine can bring you back down. The machine can't bring you up. Is that a more simplified way of getting to what I would ask for that? So any exercise where we're going to have different motions because of the same muscles through different contractions, there's going to be a period of changing the direction because the muscles are changing direction because of the exercise of the machine. I'm just trying to get you guys to see where the muscles have to change a direction. Eccentric followed by concentric.
So could you use, how we have question 1 and question 2, could you use that to kind of help them figure out the plyometric?
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
you know, like you see how it's like,
Absolutely.
use eccentric to concentric, and then you know that it'll have to be like whenever you're in an extended position going to flexion.
The end of extension and the beginning of flexion.
Or check. Eccentric and concentric. You're looking at question 2 because
Absolutely. All right, let's try something different. Let's do,
Can we do that? Have you done that?
okay, so let's have we have to trim some things because most shoulder motion is in combinations and stuff. So let's go frontal plane for the shoulder. If I was going to ask a sagittal shoulder, I'd ask reverse grip to make it mostly sagittal. So we're going mostly frontal. So we're looking at ab or as. And we could have a scapular conversation after, but we do joint by joint. We do agonist joint by joint. So let's just have a shoulder conversation. I'm not disrespecting elbow. I'm not disrespecting scapula, but it's one joint at a time.
So is this start?
You tell me, where do y'all want to start it? Correct.
Oh, don't look at this. There's the shoulders.
Probably, let's start there. There. There, that's there. Alright, start there. So, start. Start. Finish.
I see in the last text, I didn't need it.
So let's do, to Lindsay's, process, let's just do question one first, then start to finish. And then once we discuss that, then we'll go question two, start to finish. So that would be the finish. Start with your arms straighter and then end with your arm in. And why do you say dent? Why don't you say flex? Because I'm trying not to get you finish. That's all. So again, when you're rewatching Monday's lecture, just know at the end of the day, and this should be able to identify. So range of motion. The muscles changing direction, because that's where the most force is gonna be in the exercise, that's where the most damage is gonna be in the exercise. That's where the muscles kind of most vulnerable, because it has to be pulling more than pain to accomplish that transition, to accomplish that.
Maybe.
All right, guys, we're running out of time. This exercise is trying to do what to the shoulders? A B or A D? A B. Add if that's okay. Hey, there's no points off for missing in class. That's how we learn. So the thought experiment, I like the thought experiment. What would happen if he just relaxed all his muscles? What is that motion? Abduction. So if the machine's already trying to abduct him, he doesn't want to use like shoulder press muscles, throwing the bar up. So we would need adduction pullers to play tug of war against an exercise that's trying to abduct you. So adductors would be the agonist in this exercise. What motion did we observe when he brought it down? Adduction. Adductors do adduction, but only through concentric contraction. Okay. All right, let's go to question 2. And I don't mean to be pushy, we only have 10 minutes. Start. What if he just held it there? Would his muscles be on vacation or would they still be working? How would they be working? Isometrically, outstanding. Absolutely. They're still working to keep it at that position. That elevator doesn't stop pulling up even though it's letting you off. Start. Finish. Same muscles or different muscles? Same muscles, same motion or different motion? Different motion. So if you have the same muscles doing different motions, something else got to be different, and that's different contractions. So I'm still working my adductors, but I observe abduction. The only way the ADs can do the ABs is through eccentrics. Where would the plyometric sequence of my muscles be? At the top or at the bottom? Remember, it's not about what's harder, because there's some mechanical things that can happen with leverage. It's when do my muscles have to change my motion? Yeah, if it wasn't for my muscles, I'd never come back down, right? The machine could make me go up, but I have to change its direction at the top to bring it back. Is today better? Good. All right, guys, y'all have a great day. What's that?